And nope, yeah, we were live. We are live for a new episode of the Electrek podcast. I am Fred Lambert, your host, and as usual, I'm joined by Seth Weintraub. How you doing this week, Seth?
I'm good.
All right. Thanks to Recurrent Auto for sponsoring the show this week. You can check the battery before buying a used EV and monitor your battery performance with monthly insight using Recurrent's free battery reports for EV owners. We're going to have a little bit more to say about Recurrent Auto later on the show, but thanks for sponsoring the podcast. All right, as you can imagine, we're going to jump in today, starting with Tesla's earnings and everything we learned through the release and through the conference call that followed. A lot of interesting stuff, but especially with the earnings themselves, Tesla had another beat, another quite significant beat, really. For those that have been following, Wall Street was expecting 17.6 billion in revenue and earnings per share of 226. Tesla came out swinging with 18.7 billion. So a full billion more in revenue than what was expected, and a $3.22 a share non-GAAP accounting standard. So another almost like $1 a share beats. So two significant beats on both sides. And if you dive a little bit deeper, you'll find out that there's the thing that the shorts love mentioning is like, yeah, like a big beat and everything, but a lot of that was due to the regulatory credits. Sure enough, Tesla had a big quarter with the regulatory credits, $679 million. That's a lot of money. But if you take that out, it was still a record quarter for revenue, still a record quarter for profit, still a record quarter for gross margin. Like everything was a record, even if you remove the credit. So it just was just like the what they call it, cherry on top, I guess. And yeah, it was weird because this is a huge beat amid like a difficult time for in the auto industry and everything. The stock shoot up like 10% in aftermarket trading, or I mean maybe in pre-market trading. But then throughout the whole day yesterday, it almost erased all of the gains. So a lot of people just took profit. It looks like. Um, but yeah, the most significant thing in the earnings, I think, is the gross margin here. Like you can see, 32.9% automotive gross margin. If you look at the trend over the last year, so that's up from 26.5 during the same period last year, Q1 2021, and throughout the whole last year, just went up gradually to this new record of basically 33%. And that's big, especially in the context. And I wrote this article this morning about it to explain it, because Tesla has been increasing the prices during that time, and Tesla, especially Elon directly, has been justifying those increases by saying that it's due to inflation, it's due to cost increase, it's due to raw materials increase, it's due to what else did he say? I mean, the logistical costs. I mean, just moving things around the world right now is extremely expensive. But this, like, if you look right now at the earnings at the all-time high, Tesla disclosed specifically, not just the gross margin but the profits themselves, what affected them. So obviously for the growth in vehicle deliveries was a plus. Increase ASP, so that's the average selling price. So the price increases have been helping with the profits. And then reduce cost per vehicle despite inflationary pressures. So Tesla is actually decrease its cost during those uh, issues of cost increases. So Tesla has increased the prices and reduced its cost. That's how it achieved this new gross margin record here. It does say that rising material costs and commodities and logistic has negatively affected the gross margin, but apparently not enough to stop the growth of the gross margin, because the cost per vehicle has actually decreased. So if it wasn't for material costs going up, Tesla's manufacturing progress and everything have actually compensated enough to keep the cost of per vehicle going down. So that's extremely impressive. But then it warrants asking them, then why are you increasing the cost? Because at the same time, Elon always say that, oh, Tesla's goal is to reduce the cost of electric vehicles and make it more available to more people. Though he's kind of walked away more recently to those comments, since he's super high on full self-driving, and I think that's going to be the biggest impact on cost. But how this has become obvious to a lot of people now. Like this is sounds like just corporate greed and everything. So Elon felt the need to justify the this logic here of cost going down and price going up and just gross margin going through the roof. And I'm quoting in for the from the conference call on Wednesday night. Actually, on the price increase front, I should mention that it may seem like maybe we're being unreasonable about increasing the prices of a vehicle, given that we had a record profitability this quarter. But the wait list for vehicles is quite long, and some of the vehicle that people order, the wait list extends into next year. So our prices of vehicle ordered now are really anticipating supplier and logistic cost growth that we are aware of and believe will happen over the next 6 to 12 months. So that's why we have the price increase today, because a car order today will arrive in some cases a year from now. So that's absolutely true, and that's completely fair. Like Tesla has a long backlog of orders, so they're increasing price now on new orders, and those vehicles are going to be delivered in the future. So Tesla's game basically is to anticipate those price increases in the future, those cost increases in the future, I should say, in order to price them into the price today. So that's all true. What the numbers show, though, is that Tesla is not very good at that because the costs are still going down and the prices are going up, and that has been the case for the last year. So even though he's might be right, and what that's that like he's right for sure in terms of like this is what you want to try to do, but he's not right in Tesla being good at doing that because the numbers show something completely different.
Right. And even more importantly, on the back end, there's tons of demand and not enough supply. So raising the price, what for one reason or another isn't going to affect their deliveries. They can't meet the demand. So they have the flexibility to raise the price. It's got to be quite tempting to raise the price because they know that demand's there. So like if they think that it could, possibly go up, prices cost could possibly go up, why not raise the price and blame the possibility of costs going up? That's the problem with, having too much demand and not enough supply. It would be nice if like, Chevy and Ford and made enough, Ford ran out of Mustang Mach-E's like this week.
For the 2022
Chevy's
model year, yeah.
Yeah, Chevy's just ran out of bolts, or is just getting their bolts back in action. So there's just there's just not enough supply in the industry, and particularly with Tesla.
Mhm.
So it really doesn't matter like what the prices are going to be. Tesla probably doesn't even know what the prices are going to be. They're just saying, "Hey, it could be higher, so and we can charge more, so why not?"
Yeah, that's the core of the issue here. As long as people are going to be willing to buy the cars at those prices, the price is going to keep like that or even go up. And I mean, Zachary Kirkhorn, Tesla CFO, basically confirmed it after Elon made that comment. He went on to say, if that growth in cost is not materialized, we actually may slightly reduce prices. So
Are
like that,
are they going to give back the money that people have been paid though for like?
yeah.
No, they're not going to do that.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that. But also that comment in itself is such a weak comment. Like may slightly reduce prices for first of all, the prices they didn't slightly increase. They went up like $10,000 on some models. They went up like 20% on some models. So they didn't slightly increase. So slightly reducing them if the cost increase that you use as a reason to increase them doesn't happen. That doesn't make sense in the first place. And then he says may so they might also not decrease them.
Right.
So I think that just confirms what you just said. Like the real issue is supply and demand, and as long as people are going to be willing to buy those cars at those prices, Tesla's going to sell them at those prices. There's just no way around that. And you know what? I know this doesn't match the comments that Elon had made several times that Tesla is trying to reduce prices of electric vehicle and make it accessible to more people. I understand that. But I think, to be honest, if you look at the core mission of Tesla to accelerate the advent of electric transport and renewable energy, it plays into that mission as long as Tesla use those giant profit and reinvest them into capital expenditure in new factories and increasing production volumes and all that. Because once you have that even bigger economy of scale that Tesla is already enjoying, but on a bigger scale, like you got Texas and other factories, you're going to have at one point a bigger opportunity to do the right thing and to start reducing prices. So as long as that keeps happening, and Tesla looks to be doing that, I don't have any evidence that Tesla is like other than when like Elon got these giant compensation plans, and I mean a few
Right.
other people at Tesla are being paid extremely well, but it's not like just people are running away with the money right now that Tesla is making. Like most of that is going into growth, I think. I like that on the call. I don't know if you caught that, but one of the analysts was saying like, "Yeah, you guys are making incredible profits right now. I have to admit though that part of that is because we're not paying Elon's compensation plan anymore. That went through." And he was like, "Are you guys planning to do another compensation plan now that uh, the all the options are either vested or exercised?" And Elon was like, "No, there's no other plan in consideration right now." I mean, look, to be fair, Elon is not drawing a salary from Tesla. So the fact that right now, if I don't know if exactly all of his trenches are vested and or exercised, I think it might be a $1 trillion valuation. Like I think that was the max that in uh, the last package dated 2018. It's wild. You remember 2018 when that package came out,
Yeah.
and like everyone was
Like
like, "This is so much money," but everyone was also, "But there's no way Tesla grows that big."
time
4 years
flies.
later, 4 years. That's all it took, which is like not that long. Anyway, uh, so it's kind of weird that now he doesn't get paid anymore. But the guy owns 22% of Tesla or something, like 20 or 22%. So I guess that's incentive enough to grow the company. But who knows? Maybe there's going to be a new compensation plan coming. All right, what else came out during the? Oh yeah, that was an interesting one. That has a broader implication, I think. So Tesla released this fun little chart here that showed that they had a big surge in order rate in net new orders after the day after the Super Bowl. So for those who didn't follow, what happened at the Super Bowl is there was a lot of electric vehicle ads, like a lot. And of course, the Super Bowl is known for having these extravagant, super expensive ads that may or may not have a big impact. But in this case, they did. BMW had an ad for the BMW X1. GM promoted, not very promoted specifically a vehicle, but more like its Ultium electric platform. Kia came out with an EV6 ad, Hyundai Ioniq 5. The Polestar even came out with an ad, like a smaller company. And then you even had the Wallbox coming out with an ad, which is not even for electric vehicles, literally for charging. But they were all not just like selling a car itself, they were selling the idea of driving electric. And Tesla, they didn't have an ad, but they felt the impact of it. The growth in order rate, like literally more than doubled the average rate the day after that, which is significant, no less. And we reported, of course, like just a few weeks later. After that, there was the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the gas prices, and then Tesla's order rate surged again. So from what we are hearing, like Tesla's order rate is just through the roof right now.
And that's
But
with
yeah,
all the price increases included.
yes, that in mind too. I mean, a lot of that was already baked in. So the people who are ordering right now, they are paying big bucks. But yeah, it goes to show that this whole idea of a Tesla killer thing and like, oh, like Tesla is screwed once all the big automakers are coming in with their own electric vehicles. First of all, now Tesla is the big automaker, a $3 company making a million electric vehicles a year. But even that, even when a GM invests $30 billion in electrification and put some ad spending behind it, it still helps Tesla. It helps GM too. Like I mean, the Hummer EV had what we heard last time, 65,000 reservation for it. Um, and was that also before the big review? And I don't remember exactly, but um, yeah, I mean, GM is having a lot of demand for the GMC Hummer EV. All those other vehicles that I just mentioned are already sold out through to the end of the year, basically, unless you find some allocation at specific dealerships. This is like record high demand for electric vehicles. So if you're turning more people to electric driving, of course they're gonna turn to wherever they can get one. And Tesla right now, even though there's a big backlog, you can get one faster than other automakers in some cases. So they just went for it. Makes sense. But this whole idea of like we're all on the same team with electric vehicles, like if the some one person goes electric, they don't go back. We did have a statistic on that at one point that some of them go back, but we could trace them all back to people that bought like the Fiat
It
500e or something like that.
right, it was the very short range, like the Chevy
Yeah.
Spark EV, Fiat 500.
Yeah, I think like literally like 90% of those that came back, which again was like a super small percentage of people that did came back to gas and car, is because they did the bad choice of buying like one of the very early EVs. Not they weren't necessarily bad, but like they realized, oh, I cannot go on a road trip in a Spark EV. I cannot go on a road trip on a Fiat 500e. But yeah, that was an interesting little chart that they put out there, and bodes well for the future, and especially Tesla's approach of not spending money. And do you remember the year before that at the Super Bowl said there was a bunch of electric vehicle ads too, but then I don't know, ESPN covered one of the big network that covered the Super Bowl. They were interviewing all the players, and because there was so many ads for cars there, so they were asking like, what's your car, what's your favorite car to drive and everything. And all of them were like say, oh, I love my Tesla, I love my Tesla. So even though all of their makers were spending a ton of money last year too, the Tesla still got a bunch of free advertising out of it. Oh yeah, we got some more details about the dedicated robotaxi. So that was something that Elon announced earlier this month at the Cyber Rodeo at the Gigafactory opening, Gigafactory Texas. And he just mentioned at that time, there's going to be a new dedicated robotaxi that's going to look quite futuristic. That was all he said at the time. And now during the call, he added a little bit more color around it. So we're also looking on a new vehicle that I alluded to at the Giga Texas opening, which is a dedicated robotaxi. It is going to be highly optimized for autonomy, meaning it will not have steering wheel or pedals. There are a number of other innovation around it that I think are quite exciting, but it is fundamentally optimized to achieve the lowest fully considered cost per mile or kilometers when counting everything. So he said later on that it's going to be cheaper than even a subsidized bus ticket per mile, and that's the goal around it. It's going to be just cost per mile and use it in a robotaxi fleet. And it's exciting. Another Tesla vehicle, and now he did give a timeline for it. It is likely going to be revealed next year. Volume production in 2024. So that's assuming that Tesla has self-driving at that time too, which is.
What do you think about that?
I,
Chances over
I
under?
mean, I do like that timeline better than later this year for sure. That
Yeah.
sounds a little bit more reasonable. We're still like, I mean, even if that's the end of 2024, we're still like more than what, like
2
28
years at
months
least.
or 28 months or something, like 30 months away.
Huh.
Like that you can. I'm having issue with predicting the future 30 months away. That's like a lot of things can happen. But yeah, my main concern about this like is because there is growing concern about Tesla achieving full self-driving on the current hardware in the vehicle, especially the current, like Tesla has been wrong about that before. Admittedly, they admitted it. Like the new computers in the 2016 to 2018 cars. Now Elon is talking about some of the cameras in the earlier models maybe not being good enough too. So like Tesla has been wrong about the hardware. Now they're saying that they are making like Tesla has Elon has dropped the idea of like 1 million robotaxi by the end of the year, things like that. That's not what he's talking about anymore. He's talking about like full self-driving beta for everyone in the US by the end of the year. Like okay, like hopefully it's going to be better than it is now, but still. So now that he's talking about making a brand new vehicle as a dedicated robotaxi, some people are with reason thinking, all right, is this what you're going to actually need the hardware in to achieve robotaxi? Because that's what every other automaker is doing basically to achieve a level 4, level 5. They are making vehicle from the not from the ground up. I mean, like Waymo is basing it on the I-Pace and the Pacifica and what's the Volvo? Is it the Volvo they have too? I think. Of course, Cruise has the Bolt TV, but still, they are. It's not a consumer vehicle. That's my point. Which sounds like that might be. He didn't actually answer that question. Someone asked him directly, like, is it going to be a vehicle that people are going to be able to purchase, or is it just going to be a vehicle for like the fleets and whatnot? And he didn't answer that, but I think that's probably what he's talking about here. It's going to be using the Tesla's version of a Uber app and maybe the Boring Company too in the tunnels. That would make sense. But yeah,
Yeah, it makes
you don't
sense.
believe you don't believe 2024 said.
No way. Just based on where full self driving is, we got a really good comment, and I know I talked about it in the room, but like
Mm,
this woman commented, and she made a really good kind of like uh, you know viewpoint is that we are looking at a long tail of problems that are to get to full self driving, you have to hit all those edge cases,
mm,
and we're right at the 90%, I would say, or maybe 95%. But each percentage point that we go is going to be an order of magnitude longer to get there than each previous point. So
mm,
Tesla's done all the low hanging fruit stuff, the easy stuff.
mm.
They But to get those last bits is going to be even harder than it was to get to where they are now.
Yeah.
So it seems like something Elon should know. Like this is,
Well,
you know,
actually, in the call, he kind of admitted that. He kind of admitted that. He said that he now that's it's kind of that is why now he thinks that to solve full self driving, you need to solve general artificial intelligence, because
right.
if you have that, you basically have, well, a human brain with cameras, like an artificial human brains with cameras, which is what the road system is designed for.
But
But
like,
yeah, but then you have to do that.
that's a big thing. I mean, we're talking about like one of the biggest things in human history, like to solve your problem. Like it doesn't seem like
Yeah,
the
and I
quickest way
don't
to
think
go about it.
Elon appreciates people's like concern about that, because again, he said something similar about full self driving before, but now he said it about the Optimus robot, which of course going to be one of the application of this solving AGI. He said that, oh, I'm surprised that people don't realize the potential of Tesla Optimus, and they don't recognize the full value of it, which is going to be bigger than full self driving and Tesla's automotive business and everything. No one doubts that. Like no one that has spent more than, like, I don't know, like 30-minute thinking about uh, artificial general intelligence, and combining that with the bipedal humanoid robot, how much of an impact that would have on the world. Like, it doesn't take a genius to understand that. What Elon doesn't understand is people. That's what people are doubting. People are doubting Tesla achieving that. That's the where the doubt is, and that's perfectly fair. Even I think for like fan of the companies like us, that's where the issue is. And that brings us to our next article about what came out during the earnings here, is that Tesla needs to recognize more of like what people's concern, and try to address them, instead of just like, you guys don't understand our genius here. Like, sorry, I feel like there's a lot of that from Tesla. Like, we're geniuses, like, just trust us, which is not what people want to hear, especially when safety is involved and everything. None of that. I think Tesla doesn't take safety seriously. It's just sometimes they, I don't know, there's kind of an arrogance that I don't like. And that is reflected in this question that Elon answered, which I was surprised to see it, because I looked at, like the Say technology software that now Tesla used to for investor to ask questions at the earnings. I looked at it before the earnings, but maybe a day or two before. Maybe it was too early before. I didn't see that question being one of the top voted, but someone asked. I'm going to read the full question here for people that get the context. But Elon has historically provided FSD timelines with not optimal accuracy. That's an understatement, to say the least. We love the. That's what I hate now. Like, that's how you have to ask Elon the question now. If you don't want to get blocked like us, like, you have to just you have to kick. You have to kiss the behind a little bit before you go to the meat of it. We love the optimism for 2022 release, but is there any data Tesla can share with investors to help them make their own conclusion on progress being made, intervention per mile driven, or any other data? So I love that that question was asked. I love that Tesla actually pick it to be one of the questions to be answered. But then Elon's response just had me floored. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla doesn't release the data. We've been asking for it for years and nothing has happened. So I wasn't surprised for another no. But the answer was like, no, that's crazy. So let me read it here. The best way to reach your own assessment is to join the Tesla self-driving beta program, where we have over 100,000 people right now enrolled in that program, and we expect to broaden that significantly this year. So that's my recommendation. Join the full self-driving beta program and experience it for yourself, and take note of the rate of improvement with every release. And we put out a new release roughly every 2 weeks, blah, 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 blah. Take note. We're not going to give you data. Join the program, which is not easy to join. Like, you, first of all, you have to have a Tesla. You have to be willing to pay $12,000 for the package, or $200 subscription per month. And then you need to achieve a high driver safety score. And even then, I keep hearing from people that have all of these things, and they still don't get the update too. They still want asked to join the program. So there's other requirements that Tesla doesn't talk about that you don't get to join a program. One of them being probably like the older cameras too on your car. So, but the audacity from Elon to say, no, we're not going to share the data. You want to know how good FSD is? Buy FSD, try it for yourself, and take note. Like, this is what I say when it's like, we're geniuses, just trust us. Like, this is the kind of attitude that I guess from that I just don't like. Because, and I reading the comments on the Electrek on this article too, like there's 250 comments on this. I mean, a lot of them are reasonable. Like this guy as FSD, like that's one of the person that says FSD score safety 98 and everything. But some of the comments are like, yeah, it's just, of course, Tesla's not going to share data. This is private information. This is like a very important information and everything. No, it's not. Like, everybody else share that information. Like, I'm just talking about either like disengagement or driver intervention per mile. Everybody else share that information. It's a good way to track it. And also, Tesla has more miles than anyone else at this point, especially for FSD beta miles. So, like, if it's doing good, and if there's a few people that are not doing great in the program, that may be like too early to intervene and everything like that gets to be diluted when you have millions and millions of miles. So I would assume that the data is not looking good at this point if Tesla doesn't want to share it. It's just that's the only thing I can imagine. Because if the data was great and they were beating anybody else on it, they would do it. And I do understand that this is not the same thing. So that's the other argument that I hear a lot from Tesla fans, is like, oh, it's just gonna be clickbait stuff. Like, so Tesla gonna release that, and all the media are gonna use it as clickbait, and blah 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 blah. Like, look, yes, like the media will use anything as clickbait if they can, but for people that have more than two brain cells and they actually want to get into the bottom of things, they will at least be able to do that. And I think that's more important than whatever like BuzzFeed want to do with. I don't want to criticize BuzzFeed for no reason. I don't know why I did that, but like whoever media is going to use it and for clickbait or whatever. So I don't know. I really don't like that. It's like, I thought that was a bad one. I was a bit shocked on this one.
Yeah, it's not like Tesla to hide statistics that paint it in a good light. So the inverse of that is that they're probably hiding it because the statistics don't look great. And anecdotally, we know.
And prove us wrong. Like, if it's wrong, prove us wrong and share the data.
Right. I mean,
maybe that's what we should do going forward. Every time we talk about FSD, we say, by the way, it's rumored to have the most disengagement per mile of any self-driving program out there, and then we add a notion. If not, prove us wrong, Tesla. We do that until they actually share it. Like, it's I call it preventive clickbait.
There you go. New technology.
And new journalism technology. Obviously, right. I'm kidding, but it is frustrating. I guess look, this so and then if you want to get to the bottom of it, like let's assume that we're wrong and Tesla actually has the best data out there and it looks great and everything. Then look at Elon's argument itself, like just to track progress, just use it and understand like how good it is. Anecdote, that's even if it's your own experience, it's anecdotal experience. It doesn't tell you, like, it's not like you could I could drive my car as much as I can, always use FSD beta on it and prove to anyone that it's good enough to be used without driver supervision. That would never happen. Like there's no regulatory body in the world that would allow that. We need that fleet data. We need all the data pulled together to show how safe it is. And if Tesla is not showing that to anyone, it's because it's not there. That's what I assume. And also, if you look at the actuals, like my own experience with FSD beta, the FSD beta experience from people that I trust, because there's a lot of people I don't trust, that the way they show the FSD beta performance, uh, that's what it shows right now. But again, admittedly, that's anecdotal evidence and not based on millions of miles of data which Tesla has. All right, moving on.
Well, one thing we should
No,
maybe mention is that Gally Russell,
Galileo, yeah.
long ago friend of the show, kind of in the like 1 foot in reality, 1 foot in Tesla Twitter. Um, he had a little Twitter thread about how he was taking robotaxi and self-driving kind of out of his Tesla model. And,
Financial model, valuation model.
right. So for me, that was a big deal because, this is a guy who's like very deep into Tesla Twitter saying like, we shouldn't expect this to have a material value anytime in the near future.
Based on his
So
own experience with FSD beta too. That's the
right,
important part.
right. Based on his own experience, which I thought was like, hey, there's somebody speaking the truth. And of course, the thread was like, half the people were like, this guy's finally coming around, and the other
Yeah.
half were like, traitor,
Yeah.
So
And it's just coming from a guy that vehemently like defended FSD beta for a long time. Like we're talking, for people who don't know, the same guy that took down the video after the video made Tesla look bad in FSD, and then he said in the video, "Oh, Tesla is asking us not to post the video that make them look bad," and then he retracted that and everything. Like this is that guy that is. But in that thread, he also said that he was thinking about that for months. Uh, he was thinking like that for months, and he has not valued Tesla FSD in there. That I thought that weird because I can find plenty of comments from here in the last few months where he was pretty hyped up
right,
about FSD. And but again, a lot of those comments is like tagging Elon Musk, like hoping that Elon sees it and like so he can get in good graces and everything. So
right.
yeah, like, that's where I think Tesla Twitter is worthless these days on that front. Um, Speaking of, I guess we can use that as a segue for the Tesla Twitter. Well, no, let's do a quick ad read before, because we have a few more news item, but some of them might take some time though because there are a lot of interesting stuff to discuss. Then we're gonna jump into the comment section. So if you guys have any comments, any question for us, any subjects you want us to discuss, put them in the comments right now. But we're gonna do a quick ad read for our sponsor, Recurrent Auto.
All right. This week, the Electrek podcast is sponsored by Recurrent, battery reports for EV owners. With Recurrent, you can check the battery before buying a used EV, monitor your battery performance over your entire ownership with monthly insights, then command higher resale values with a battery condition report when it's time to trade in. Recurrent gives people confidence in EV batteries, whether they are the first time buyer or a long-time EV owner. While legacy combustion engines have 2,000 parts, an electric motor has 24. The most important and expensive part of an EV is the battery, and it's literally a black box. Recurrent makes battery performance and expected range over time more transparent. Reports are free for individual owners, and Recurrent also has paid options available for car dealers to run bulk reports. You can sign up for your free report at recurrentauto.com or by hitting the link in the show notes.
Yes, thank you, Recurrent. All right, I see a few people posting questions. If you have them, that will be the time, but we're going to get to them in like 15 and 20 minutes or so. All right, that was kind of a bummer. That came out sort of last weekend. Then Elon elaborated over the earlier in the week. But the Tesla mobile connector that still for now comes with every new vehicle sold is no more. Starting for vehicle that were ordered after April 17th, you won't get a mobile connector with it. So for people who don't know, the mobile connector is this little device here that nope, I don't have it in full in this. Well, anyway, well, you see it a little bit here actually. So it's just a connector that nowadays that only 110 volt connection, but back in the day used to be you had all the adapters with it, including the 220 volt connection, which you can still get the adapter for, because so the actual charge connector itself supports it. So you could just get the NEMA 1450 adapter and plug it into a dryer outlet, or a new 1415 MO outlet that you get installed in your garage or your driveway. And for the most part, if you have that, you're set on your own charging, because that's pretty much the highest charge rate that you're gonna get, unless you install like an 80 amp system. But even that, like for the most part, you don't really need that. Um, so Tesla always included that with every car sold, so that once you get delivery of your car, you're set. You have your charging solution, and then if you want a wall connector at home, that the permanent installation for that, you can get that, and then once you have that, you can keep the mobile connector, since its name it's mobile, inside your car. And that could be like either like a last minute charging situation, or if you get you have um, you have a cottage in the mountain somewhere, or a lake house, and you don't want to have a charging solution, invest in a charging solution there, you can just bring that with you and get at least like a trickle charge during the night, which is good enough. Or you can be someone like me who works at home and doesn't drive that much during the week, like no more than 100 kilometers or something, and just use that 110 volt in an outside outlet, and you're gonna get plenty of charging from that. Like that's basically how I've been charging 80% of my charging session with more than 80% probably, but 80% of my total charging has been done with the regular mobile connector on my Model 3 since I got it back in 2018 or something like that. So now, Tesla updated its website saying that it's not included anymore, and then Elon came out saying that it was due to low usage that they're not including it in the specifically mentioned um, that their usage statistics showed that it has super low usage. We had our doubts about that when he said that, because I wouldn't have been surprised if the total amount of charging session on average is low, like not the majority of your charging is done with that. That would have made sense with me. But I think every owner use it just often enough that it's actually a useful charging solution here. Like I said, if you're on the road, or especially early in your ownership too, like sometimes it's hard to get a charging station. It's also hard to get an electrician at your house these days. They're often booked months in advance, so you can get delivery of your vehicle but not be ready for your own charging station. So having that included with a car, even though it again might not be an optimal solution, it's still better than nothing, and extremely useful. uh, but Elon seemed to think that the statistic doesn't show that. But then we had the Tesla Scope, which is one of those third-party app that you can connect to the. Well, it's not an API that Tesla has, but they share some data through the mobile app, and they have access, maybe not to as much data as Tesla, but still a decent amount. And they have thousands of vehicles on their network, hundreds of thousands of charging sessions, as example. And based on their own data, 61% of the sessions were done with the mobile connector. So it's not just like a few critical charging sessions. It's actually the majority of the charging session is done with the mobile connector based on Tesla Scope data, which again is not obviously as good as Tesla's, but still from thousands of vehicles and hundreds of thousands of charging sessions. So I thought that was interesting that Elon might be pulling a fast one on us on this one.
Yeah, so basically, it's another price increase, right? It's
Pretty much.
what, another two or $300 uh, to the price of a car, because you have to buy an adapter now.
Well, that's the thing.
If
They used to offer it with the adapter for 220 volt. Now they don't. So it was only $275 for the one that's just 110 volt with a regular outlet. Now they say that because they're not including it in the car anymore, they're going to bring it down to $200. So whatever. It's still, but that's not even the biggest problem. Okay, like you said, it's a price increase on law. They're back ordered. So
right.
what do you do then? Well, I guess
Right.
they're back ordered now because they have to get one still for every car they deliver until they start delivering new cars that have been ordered since last week. So I assume that by that point they're gonna have more availability of it.
Do you think
Uh,
them running out was part of the reason why they made the decision to stop including them with cars?
Maybe you know what's a big business right now? It's the Tesla's used car business is
Right.
huge right now, and so that might be like they need to offer it as an aftermarket product for that. And I hear a lot of people don't give back their charger when they return the used car. So and Tesla doesn't actually account it in the price or anything like that. So they're like, oh, if they don't account it in the price, and I'll keep it. It's $200, which so maybe that's part of it too, but or at least some part of that fixes supply. You know who's happy about this though?
Charge point.
Well, ChargePoint and any other charging station maker, like they're like,
Right.
yes, like the Tesla owns like 80% of the EV market in North America, like, and I mean, they sold some chargers to those people for sure, but still not most of the market. Most Tesla owner will go with Tesla wall connectors and Tesla mobile chargers. Now it's just going to be a bigger market for them. So I guess Tesla is maybe like just trying to help them out a little bit.
That's nice of them.
Yes, I'm sure it's a completely altruistic move from Tesla. All right, let's talk Twitter a little bit. I know we did a lot in the last few weeks, and not much has changed since. But Elon proved this week that he actually know the meaning of funding secured because at this time he really did secure the funding, at least for the take private attempt of Twitter. And I know that he's been claiming that no, I wasn't lying when I said funding secured about Tesla and everything, but he never showed any proof of that. In this case, this is how you do it, Elon. This is how you show proof, and he filed with the SEC. Basically, it's $26.5 billion in debt financing confirmed from banks. So the banks send them commitment letters saying that he has secure financing for $26.5 billion. And why is it relevant to Tesla, other than Elon being behind it? Is that guess what? He is putting his share of Tesla in collateral for those 26.5 billion in debt. He's also looking for partners, but it sounds that's more for the equity part of it, which is going to be 21 million of equity that are going to be put in it. Of course, he already has like 3 billion worth of Twitter shares, but he's going to have to put up a lot more money. And some people have estimated that based on his share of Tesla that he sold last year, he probably has about $3 billion cash right now. So he could participate in that equity raise, and that would make him one like a very big owner of Twitter, of course, especially if he's behind the debt financing with the collaterals of Tesla share. But he needs partner for the rest of that 21 billion in equity. There's no doubt about it. There's been
H-
some name being floated around and everything, but
How is he going to get equity partners when he's already said that making a profit isn't a concern?
well, I mean, Tesla's mission is not to make a profit necessarily, and it's been
Right.
doing great for shareholders. So I assume that I mean, I have very little doubt that Elon's going to have issue raising money after all the success he has at this point. Uh, I assume that the idea is like, okay, we're not focused on profit, but if we just make the platform so much better, then it's going to grow bigger, of course, and then it's going to be easier to make money. But at the same time, he seems very anti-ads, and of course, most of Twitter's money is coming from ads. I mean, I think if he wants to do what he wants to do, he needs to find a way to get people to actually pay the Twitter Blue, the subscription thing, and that historically has been something super hard to do, like to just pay people to use a social media, pay people to use even news. Like if we start charging $3 for Electrek, I'd be curious how many people are going to pay for that.
Well, we will be on Twitter Blue pretty soon. So, in a way, we sort of are.
What do you mean we're going to be a Twitter Blue?
So, we're going to be, if you're Twitter Blue, you see Electrek without ads.
Really? What, like Electrek? The
The
when
website.
you go to Electrek.co?
Yeah.
How?
If
I
you
didn't
do
know
it
they could.
from Twitter.
So Twitter is going to share some of their money from their subscriber of Twitter Blue with us.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see
I
how
didn't
that
know.
goes. And
Yeah,
if it is meaningful money, then maybe we'll stick with it.
yeah. Well, I mean, based on how many people come from Twitter to go to Electrek right now. I don't think it's gonna be that meaningful, buddy. Uh,
Right.
Unless they promote you because you're on Twitter Blue program. I don't know how that works.
I don't know.
All right. So yeah, so that's the latest on Elon acquiring Twitter. Again, it's gonna be a hard thing to do. Like now, it does look like he has more money to do it because the $46 billion that is apparently secured and funding. So he has room to negotiate with the board a little bit, maybe hike up a little bit his offer. But with the poison pill that they adopted last week, the week before that, there has to be some negotiating in order to allow that because Elon will own more than 15%, and then if that happens, it triggers the poison pill and dilute the stock. So they have something he's going to have to break at one point. All right,
Before we
so
move on to BMW, I think we skipped over the cobalt-free LFP batteries in
okay,
half the cars.
Yeah, that was kind of an interesting comment that Tesla put in there. Uh, I mean, not as much about like the LFP. We know that Tesla has been pushing hard about making more cars with LFP. It's of course cobalt free, nickel free, and it's enables them to have then more NMC nickel based batteries for the higher energy density vehicles. But what's interesting with that is that Tesla confirmed that nearly half of the vehicle that they delivered last quarter had LFP batteries, which gives us some kind of insight into the mix of models that they have because only the Model 3 standard range and the Model Y standard range. But again, the Model Y standard range is only the one in China. Tesla doesn't sell the Model. Well, I guess now you have the 4680 in out of Texas, but that was not any meaningful level of deliveries like last quarter. That those two models alone, that means a Model 3 standard range sold around the world, built in Fremont, uh, in China and Shanghai, and the Model Y standard range built in Shanghai, I counted alone for half of Tesla's delivery last quarter. So that's an interesting tidbit of information here.
Yeah, so that means a lot of the stuff coming out of Shanghai was LFP, but it also means a lot of the stuff coming out of Fremont was LFP, right?
Mm. Which might be Chinese batteries coming out of Fremont
Right.
LFP. Like we cannot confirm it, but that's what it sounds like. And
Yeah.
that
Hmm.
that might that's something to keep an eye on because we know the Chinese U.S. relations and whatnot. It's always a bit of tension there, and things can change. So something to keep an eye on for sure. All right, BMW unveiled the i7 this week. So BMW had kind of been on fire after 10 years of no electric vehicles. Now they come out the i4, the iX, the iX3, i7, and then just a few weeks ago they had the i3, but that was China only, unfortunately. But we did note with the i3, like BMW was going with something different, where like, they always had. I mean, not the since the BMW i3, I wouldn't say that they've been completely weird mobile, the weird mobile design, but they always have some design accent that they put on their electric vehicles that are a little bit polarizing. Mainly those classic like kidney grill that they call in the front. They elongate them for the electric vehicles, and it's been very polarizing for people. The i3 looked a lot more like a classic 3 Series, the new i3, I should say, like the i3 in China, the 3 Series electric vehicle that they're selling in China. And we're seeing something very similar with the i7. And sure enough, they are launching the i7 as part of a new generation of the 7 Series BMW, so their flagship sedan. But the i7, the electric version of it, is stealing the show, really. Actually, it's going to be at first later this year. It's going to be the only version available in Europe. Though when it comes out in the US later, it's going to be made available with a gasoline and a hybrid version. And then there's going to be plug-in hybrids coming out later in 2023. But it's a good-looking car. As there's still some design accent, a little bit more electric to it. Like though you can see the back, they have to have those blue things on it. Big battery pack, 101.7 kilowatt hour in there. It's good enough for 625 kilometers of range on the WLTP standard. And thanks BMW to actually share this time the EPA, which European automakers don't always do, but they're expecting up to 210 miles of range, which
Solid.
is it's good. It's not great efficiency on a 101 kilowatt battery pack for a vehicle that size, but it is a fully loaded car. Like this is like ultra luxury vehicle, so it's not always that efficient. 195 kilowatts, up to 195 kilowatts of DC charging capacity. So it's good. It's over 150 that lower end vehicles have, not necessarily like over like 250 like some of the like the Porsche and the Tesla Model 3 and whatnot are getting, but still it's a decent charging speed. And you can get dual motor with a dual motor powertrain. You get 400 kilowatts, 554 HP of total power capacity. So decently peppy vehicle. There's going to be a higher performance M series M version. I don't know. Do they say M series or just M version? Yeah, it's M version of the 7 Series. So this is a luxury sedan, and like a lot of the interior is designed around passenger being driven kind of situation. So you have these luxury like captain seat. They have this giant 31-inch screen that pops out behind the two front seat, especially for the passengers. And they say that comes with Amazon Fire TV.
Does that does that come down while you're driving, or does that have to be something you do while you're parked? Because that would be great for the kids probably, but like you can't use the rearview mirror anymore, for instance,
Yeah,
when
but
that's not.
nowadays everything has those little back cameras. I assume that
Right.
you just go from that. Like, not
So this
not
is a competitor to the EQS kind of thing, right?
yeah, EQS, Model S,
EQE.
those yeah, those kind of
And
vehicles.
why does this thing? So if you look at it, it looks like it has a huge like front bonnet, I guess. Like
I couldn't get a picture
what
of
is
the
there?
front. Yeah, I couldn't
Like
actually
what is
get a
under that thing? There's no
maybe a
battery
big
stored
front,
there.
maybe a big
Yeah,
front.
huge trunk.
It looks
Maybe
good
they
in
have
black though. Like I like it. It's
yeah, it's a good look.
kind of a bit reminiscent of like the 90s BMWs and early 2000, like
Yeah.
the squarer front hand, strong looking. Black on black looks good and actually hides a little bit of the controversial kidney grill. But again, it's less controversial. It's not elongated like the ones on the iX, for example. That I know that
Right.
people hate that one. It makes a little bit more sense. You see it more on the here with the gray beige version of the car. So yeah, this is coming out later this year, around November. I think it's going to be in dealerships. They haven't released the price, but I think it's going to start over $100,000. Then you
Yeah,
have
EQS.
yes, the EQS, but the SUV version that was unveiled this year, also coming later this year in the US in 2022. Uh, Nothing too crazy here. If you're familiar with the EQS, this is the same car, but in a SUV form factor, which of course is a bit more popular here in the US than the sedans. So here, what it looks like, um, very similar to the EQC, really, just a bigger vehicle. The EQS design does translate pretty well though to SUV. I did see a lot of comments though from people like, yeah, it looks like a minivan and everything. Like, yeah,
Yeah, it's very plain. The
yeah,
Mercedes EQS as well. Like
yeah,
people say it looks like a Honda Accord,
yeah. A lot of
which
people
is
say that. Like,
not a compliment.
not a compliment. Yeah, I mean, I think there's been like kind of a switch like between like the luxury vehicle and like the lower end of the market. Now you have like even Toyota and like with the Rav4, Hyundai, their vehicle, like they look sharper. They look like the lower end of the market has gone like a little bit more extravagant, while the luxury end are like toning things down, making it more classier and whatnot. You have a 7-seater configuration on the 450 plus version and the 4MATIC version. If you want to go with the five, no, that's the sedan version. I can
That'll be popular.
yeah,
Seven
yeah.
seat 7 seat EVs are few and far between.
hmm You can get with dual motor or rear axle motor, just a single motor. What else is interesting in there? Oh, it's a lot shorter
340-mile
than
range.
it's 5 inches shorter than the sedan. but 2 inches wider, and of course almost 10 inches higher. It is an SUV after all. Exact same wheelbase, exact same battery pack and everything. Oh, they put the main competitor in there. Okay, that's
Hmm.
fine. Tesla Model X, BMW iX. Yeah, I guess that's fair. They haven't released the range yet, the top speed 0 to 60, and the MSRP, of course. Which I don't know. Is it going to be more expensive than the EQS, which starts at 125?
Uh, I would say similar price.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for the EQS coming out later this year. Let's jump into the comments and the questions.
All right. Scrolling up here. Let's start with Bike Angelus. Question: Rivian warning about battery supply is troubling for mass EV deployment. How unprepared is the automotive industry to supply batteries needed for millions of low-cost EVs? I mean, that's the billion-dollar question, really, right?
Yeah. I mean, how unprepared is it's more it's not as much about how unprepared they are to when they started preparing. Like you know how it's been like we've been joking about that actually for years. Like the gold standard of like how EV adoption is going to roll out has been like the Bloomberg NEF annual report that they came out, and every year they were always like, okay, it's going to be like 10% in 2030, and it's going to be 15% like the next year, to 15% 2030 the next year, it's going to be 20% in 30, and so forth. And from what we've been hearing from the legacy automakers, they were following that pretty closely. Some of them were like were more conservative than that. um, and we, of course, we always been extremely aggressive on that front, and we think that by 2030 is not a lot of people that are going to want to buy a non-electric vehicle. So more recently, a lot of them have shifted towards that. There's been a shift, but for most automaker, that shift happened in the last year, literally to the last maybe like 3 or 4 years from some of the more open-minded, let's say, automakers out there, legacy automakers. So for those guys, like depending, like if it was 4 years ago that you did it, you're not gonna be too bad. You at least you're gonna be, your supply chain is gonna have those requirements and those relationship being built with those suppliers for a longer period of time. You're gonna be a higher volume, gonna be secured. You're still gonna have issues. There's no doubt. There's still gonna have issues because look, here Bike Ingest is referencing what uh, Rivian CEO RJ Scaringe said that the the upcoming battery shortage is going to make the chip shortage look like an appetizer. And there's everyone got screwed by the chip shortage. Giant companies that have been in the business for decades has been have been impacted by the chip shortage. So that's the thing. A lot of people are going to be impacted to different level with the battery shortage, depending on how prepared they were over the last few years. Then, of course, you have like the idea of Tesla. Tesla been thinking for like 30 years that no, they've been around for what, like 20 years. They've been thinking for like 20 years that all electric vehicles are all vehicles going to be electric by all new vehicles are going to be electric by 2030, or at least that was the goal, really. So they've been preparing for it. However, it's not like they have a 20-year advantage over people because they didn't have the credibility with the supplier, didn't have the financing, didn't have the money behind it until more recently. So I don't think Tesla's going to have like the giant advantage over everyone, just a decent advantage over everyone. And then it depends on everything else, just how willing they are to put the money where the mouth is. And we're seeing it from like company with GM, what they did with LG and all those factories that they're building, Ford with SK, with the Oval, like Volkswagen for years. They have like intricate relationship with battery suppliers, and they invested heavily in Nordvolt. Uh, so there are deals that are make things hopeful, but in terms of the rush supply, because there's so many layers to it. That's the issue. Like uh, there's a material aspect to the chip shortage, but it's mainly a manufacturing capacity that's been the issue. Um, so there's the same thing. It's the same thing with batteries, but on the supply side of the raw materials, that there's a big concern in that too. So the companies have to dig deep in their pockets and be willing to finance some new mining operation and do some offtake agreements and everything like that. And we're starting to see that. We're starting to see it. Elon did mention during the call that we should expect in the next few months some exciting announcement on that front. So I expect Tesla to, I don't know, announced
Mining.
new. Yeah, I don't know how intricate it's gonna be. If it's gonna be like direct Tesla mining operation, or if it's gonna be new offtake agreement. Like because we've been seeing a lot more of those from Tesla lately, offtakes agreement, which is a good way to get things moving. But Tesla hasn't been super successful so far with it. Like you go back to some of the earliest one for lithium, like Pure Energy Metal, for example, they had an offtake agreement with Tesla in 2016, and the project hasn't moved along a lot. So they sometimes they work, sometimes they don't work. Um, but I don't know. I know that Tesla has been hiring people in Canada to some geologists and some mining experts. So maybe they want to buy a company that or something like that. Like that would be exciting to me if they buy a mining company that already has operation around the world, and they just make accelerate, like just use their talent, just and then accelerate all the plans with financing and leveraging their expertise. That I think that would get things moving and get competitor moving too.
All right, he's got a follow-up question. Where would you invest today, anticipating this battery shortfall that Rivian is predicting?
I mean, the easy bet is gonna be the big manufacturer, like the safe bet, I should say, because those companies are gonna benefit no matter what from those increase in demand. Uh, of course, the big money is like investing in a junior company, and then boom, the project actually works, and they get financing from it, and they reach production. Then you can make those like what every junior miner investor wants to make, like those 100x 1000x return, but those are risky. Like for every one of those that you're going to make, you're going to lose your money on another. A good bet right now, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, and you should do your own due diligence and everything. I'm big on Vail right now. I know they had their issues with their safety in Brazil and everything, and that's definitely a big concern. But they did pay for that, pay handsomely for it too. Not that I think that any kind of life has a monetary value attached to it, but unfortunately, in a capitalistic world, if you make a company pay billions and billions of dollars, they're going to be more careful about it next time. It's just how it works. Um, but they are one of the world's biggest producer of nickel, which is going to be for that. They are one of the worst producer of iron, which is going to be a lot for that. They do have some manganese, though they are selling off some of that. And I mean, the other big business is coal, but they're divesting from coal, so that's why I'm willing to invest in them. And they're making profit head over heels with the current pricing. I think they have a dividend of like 10% right now. It's just crazy. So I think that's a good investment. But other big company like BHP too, interesting. What's the Chile one? SQM. Though I like them a little bit less because they have a lot of money in agriculture, and I don't know that as much. Like they have fertilizer and all that. I don't. I
Mm.
just I like to invest in things that I know, and some of those big companies, that's a problem. They are diversified a little bit. Um, then
And
there's a bunch of
you have a Substack for this stuff, though.
Yeah, you guys can check out my Substack. I do post some of those investment idea in it, and I'm gonna I'm just so I don't like. There's some junior companies that I like, but I don't like recommending those because they're so risky. Like it's a hit or miss type of thing. But maybe what I should do is like just post a bunch of them, and like you guys do your own due diligence on those, and see the ones that you're more secure with, because to get a mining project up and running, it's not just money. There's just so many things that needs to lined up.
All right. Moving on. Here's one I can probably talk to a little bit. Chad Roback says, question, where can I get a bidirectional charger for Chatamo for off-grid installation? Seems like there are just mail lists, but no actual products. And I definitely feel that, you know, frustration because, I was actually trying to get a thing for my car that I could charge. Like I would be able to charge the car via Chatamo, the Tesla, the Chatamo adapter, and then I was hoping I could also get power out of the car, even though Tesla doesn't do that. But I wanted to get a Chatamo adapter that went both ways in case in the future. Unfortunately, because Chatamo is kind of dying out, not a lot of new products are being built. One product that was supposed to hit consumers and really didn't roll out too much is the Wallbox Quasar 1. And that's CHAdeMO. It was supposed to be built for the Nissan Leaf and the Mitsubishi Outlander, which is also CHAdeMO. And we got lots of hype about it, but it never really came off the shelves. I think I found one YouTube video with a woman from a British power company that was using it. Um, but maybe call them up and they can hook you up with stuff. I would go on eBay. That's kind of where I was searching. Obviously, Japan is a big place for
Yeah.
CHAdeMO going both ways. So brush up on Japanese. Try to find some stuff at ebay.jp, perhaps. Um, you know, some shipping charges. There's also a company called SeaTac that's got a lot of charging, interesting stuff like that. So good luck there. But I don't know how much longer CHAdeMO is going to be important. So you might want to hurry up and find that part
Mhm.
or abandon ship. All right, moving on. Ian Vosper. I saw my first Rivian this week. The interior blows Teslas away. The the ocean, the light one is it's really
Mm.
nice. Question: how does Elon feel about RJ Scaringe and Rivian having beaten him to market with a fully electric pickup? Somehow, I think Elon's not really too stressed out about it.
Yeah, I mean, he
Doesn't
did
seem
make
like.
a few comments about them. I think they're stretching a little bit thin. Like, they're when they announced their Georgia factory, they were like, "Ooh, you guys should figure out the first one first."
Right.
Um, which, I mean, it's a fair point.
Sure.
But also there is advantages of, like, they made the deal in Georgia, and they're gonna spend the capital expenditure on there, like, gradually, and learn from Illinois. Like, try to, like, make as many mistakes as possible in Illinois and to not repeat them in Georgia. So I get it from the Rivian standpoint too. Um,
Apparently, there's like uh, some of the locals in Georgia aren't happy about a plant going in, and it ranges everywhere from the normal complaints about like, hey, this is a quiet little town, we want to keep it
mm.
this way, we don't need all this commerce going on. But there's also some weird stuff going on where, like, I guess Soros owns some part of Rivian, and like all those weird conspiracy theory type things are happening there. So uh I don't know
I
who's
didn't know that
behind all that.
Soros on part of Rivian.
I don't even think he does. I think it's like one of those things. All right. Bike Angelus is back with another question. Used EV prices are very strong, sometimes higher than new due to limited availability. When do you expect to see EVs in ample supply for buyers to purchase without long wait times?
Depends on what you mean by long wait times, but I think the demand is going to outweigh the supply for the next 10 years.
Yep. I was going to say something long like that. I just don't think that people, I don't think that the major automotive manufacturers to this day understand how big the shift is going to be, how quick it's
Mm.
going to come. And we're right in the middle of it right now. We're probably like in the eye of the hurricane, but like I feel like Chevy is going to keep putting out Silverados and other gas, you know internal combustion Silverados,
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem like they get it. Like if I was Mary Barra, I would be like, all right, we're going full EV, shut down the but you know
Yeah, I've been in the South for the last few weeks, and I've been driving the Mustang Mach-E, and I've been talking to a lot of people. Of course, people ask me questions and everything, and a lot of people that back in there like, "All right, an electric car, you have to plug it in. Well, that's cool." And then people that, like, wouldn't care much about it. Now they were a lot more interested about, "Oh yeah, like, so you don't pay gas. How much does it cost?" Like a lot of people ask me, and normally people don't. That's not one of the first question they ask. It's like, how much does it cost to charge it? I'm like, well, I just went, got like 250 miles at your Farmica station, and it cost me like 12, $15, something like that. Like 12, $15. Oh, wow. Like, that's like a fraction of what I just paid for my tank of gas. A lot of people are asking those questions right now. It's people that before wouldn't have given a second thought on electric vehicles.
Yeah, the gas prices have
Yeah.
certainly sped things up. All right, back to comment. Twitter purchase will not quicken the adoption of electric vehicles and sustainable energy system worldwide. Elon needs to focus up. That's a good
Yeah.
point. Uh, but Elon's Elon. You get the good with the bad. Question: Can you guys shave and wear suits for an episode sometime? I don't think so. I don't know why, but I just love to see you guys look more professional. Either way, keep up the great work. Come on, man! It's Friday afternoon.
Yeah. Not only that, like you need to understand how much we work through the like. I don't want to spend one more time like just shaving the morning or getting myself dressed up. Like I prefer just if we're able to do what we're able to do now is because like we are like just researching and writing all week about electric vehicles. We wouldn't be able to
Yeah,
do
maybe
that
if you
if
go to the
we.
if you go to the New York Auto Show this weekend, I'm going with my kids. Maybe I'll have a
As if
button
you're
down.
gonna go with the suit and shave it.
Maybe I'll have a button down. I don't know.
I don't remember ever seeing you with a button down shirt.
That's right. Well, it'll be a nice hoodie anyway. All right. Greg says, question: How can Tesla accurately report FSD beta disengagement rates? Question: I stopped using it in cities because it's dangerous, so my disengagement rate is lower than it was before I stopped. Yeah, I mean that's
Yeah, I
part
mean,
of it,
if you could differentiate the mileage between highway mileage and city mileage, that would be useful. But look, I mean, anything is better than nothing right now. It's just that's the
right?
truth.
All right, question: In the coming years, what legacy automakers are best positioned to survive the electric revolution?
Yeah, we did that question a lot. I mean, we have all different answers for that, but I think we both agree on Volkswagen. Uh, he did, thanks to really, it's crazy, but thanks to Dieselgate, that just had them pull the trigger on electric sooner than a lot of people, and having Electrify America helps them a lot. Like having Nordvolt also being a big investor in Nordvolt. But other big ones, I mean, it, any other than Volkswagen, I'm like I could put like a ranking of one who I think would be have better chances, but all other than Volkswagen, there's no one I can confirm that I think they will for sure survive it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
All right. What is your best guess of volume Cybertruck production by the end of 2023 or 2024? Question mark.
2024.
Okay.
If
Yeah, same.
production start at some point in 2023, generally it takes about Tesla 12 months to reach volume production. And even that with the Cybertruck might be more difficult because of different manufacturing technique with the exoskeleton and whatnot.
All right. And then I guess a follow up is, what are the odds of the major OEMs going bankrupt in the next 5 to 8 years? I think pretty good chances
Uh,
that some of them do.
I want to say like 99.9% probably.
Yeah. I mean, something like Mazda
Yeah.
seems like
Yeah.
inevitable. All right. eConcept says, question: I'm Swedish, but currently living in Argentina, which is an EV desert. Do you think Tesla will ever build a gigafactory for the Latin American market? And if so, when? Thanks for the great podcast. Good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I feel you, man. I've heard a lot of questions from people in Latin America, from Brazil, people from Chile, and people are now you from Argentina, and historically automakers haven't been as willing to expand the lineup there. So now we're just feeling the same thing, but for electric vehicles. And this is always the chicken and egg problem. Like, oh, but like you need to have like the charging networks there, and the charging network haven't developed it there too. So you're gonna need actually a Tesla, a company like Tesla, to just like take over the market and like just, all right, we're gonna invest in a supercharger network there, and we're gonna bring the dam in there, and um, I don't know about like Gigafactory just yet. I think we're gonna see like a Tesla in every market they're gonna export. But first, I mean, so if you're actually talking about like a Gigafactory in Latin America, if you want a timeline for that, I would say maybe by the end of the decade.
It's fair. And then, there's VW's quite big in South America.
Yeah.
They 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 have the ID3, which would probably be
Mm.
popular there. And that iLife concept would be popular there. The bus,
Yeah.
all that stuff. All right, that is all for the questions today.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone, for listening to the podcast this week. If you like this show, please give us a thumbs up. That tickles the algorithm. And then, if you are listening on your podcast app, if you can give us a 5-star review, that helps the show more than you can think. And we appreciate it every time. And thanks a lot for Ricker and Otto for sponsoring this episode of the Electric Podcast. We're going to see you same place.